Welcome to the Boomerang Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Michele Swinick. She's a host of the Save My Freedom show. And good to have you on, Michele. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, Matt, look at you.
Yeah, right?
Oh, look at handsome. He's all decked out. Look at these boots, right? That's the man. That is the Boomerang Podcast.
That's
Thank
right.
you. I'm actually in studio. I don't think I've ever done a podcast where I went to somebody's studio before.
That's so cool.
It's always remote all over the world. So yes, you are.
It's kind of a fun little studio. You know, we got the memorabilia.
I'm no longer a virgin. You've unvirginized me.
Nice, perfect.
How nice.
I've done that a few times in my day.
Hey, and it's such a good-looking guy. Like I'm okay with that, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much. Because I mean, the work you're doing. I didn't even know about you until a couple weeks ago, and then I started looking at some of your work. And I mean, you're doing just incredible stuff in the whole election integrity realm. It's the most desperately needed aspect of society, because it's like the most important thing we really have is our vote. And people forget that. People don't understand everything. You know, you put these idiots into office, look what happens.
Well, we don't put them in office. That's the problem.
Right.
So
there you go. Bring it on.
There's a lot to unpack, right? You know, like unpack these catchphrases that these people use. That's why I only use them to make fun of them. Like
good.
Unpack. So we're going to unpack a few things. So election integrity. Now that is the big lie. Okay, there is no such thing as election integrity. What people need to understand is it is an election. It is an election system. It's election system operation, okay? It is run like a CIA operation. So it's not only what happens actually.
It is a CIA operation.
There you go. I say like just because I don't want to say is, but I need the people out there who wear common sense caps to fill in the blanks, right? Yep. Because there's certain ways that you say things, especially the more high profile you get, then you don't want to give extra ammo so that all of a sudden something happens that you don't want to happen.
Right.
So if I say you know what I'm saying, right? So you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah,
See, this guy's smart. Buy gold from him. So Midas gold, by the way, Midas gold. So it is an election system operation. Okay, right. And it is multiple levels. It is from the narratives, right, and it is to the actual election day, the mail-in ballots, to what happens afterwards. So it's an operation, right? The entire election system is fundamentally designed to control the outcomes. You and I and the people are not a part of the outcomes.
Right.
We think we're a part of the process. We're really not even a part of the process.
Right.
Right. Everybody's so happy that they get their sticker that says I voted.
Right.
You kind of didn't.
You didn't.
You didn't really vote, right? Because the results, there's the votes and the results. They don't match.
Right.
Okay? So you might have heard all of these years of, they switch the votes in the machines and you need to show if they're online or on the internet. You don't need any of that. Okay? That may happen, but you can't really, and even if you did prove it, it doesn't matter. Okay, because people. They want you to focus on all of these things, these magical satellites and the switching of the votes. When it comes down to the basic fundamentals, right? And the information that I'm bringing forward in conjunction with Leo D'Onofrio, who's an attorney that I've been working with. He's from New Jersey. That we've been bringing forward is all public documents. Okay, all public documents. And it's the county, Mari-corruption County, Anarchy, Arizona. It's where we are right now. We're actually across the street. It's okay to say your location, right?
Sure.
Like, okay, I just wasn't sure where it was secret.
625 West Deer Valley Road.
Right. Now, Deer Valley Road is across the street from Deer Valley Airport. And Deer Valley Airport, they had the election there. That was one of the voting centers.
Correct.
Okay, the amount of fraud and corruption across the street from you, huge. Okay, huge. And I show this in the shows when I show you guys the tabulator tapes, right? These are the election returns that come out of the tabulator and voting machines, right? And you see the one from Deer Valley, which is across the street. It's so mangled that you're like, the anger, like what? Who was so? I feel bad for the little tape, It's like, remember the Sunday morning cartoons? I'm just a bill.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
What the hell happened across the street from you? But that's like, it's like that at every center. So I jumped back on that because you're literally across the street. But what people need to, what I want you to, as I was telling these guys out front before we were talking, I said, this is your common sense cap, right? Everybody's got to have your common sense cap. When you watch my show or you watch any of the shows that I'm on, I always tell people, put on your common sense cap. You put on your belt of truth, right? Because you're going to need the armor of God to get through this, because the people that are involved at all different levels in the election system operation, a lot of these people are no longer fully human. Okay, you cannot do the things that they do because you have levels of demons that are within you, because you can't do these things and sleep at night. There's no way. You can't knowingly be a part of something so fraudulent. And as you said, people's well, it's a sacred right to choose your representatives through your vote. And it's also the sacred right to vote. It's the sacred right to be able to make decisions for your community, whether it's the proposals, the schools, your property taxes. So they've stolen that from us, okay? Right? They've stolen that from us at so many different levels, all over the country. But here, this is the testing cesspool of crime
Arizona.
and corruption. Oh, Mari-corruption County.
Mari-corruption
County is the testing cesspool of fraud and corruption. It's the hub of everything. Now, this state is very demonic, okay? There's... let's just say it's the Valley of the Sun. Okay, you're worshiping the sun god.
Right.
Okay, that's the opposite of God and Jesus, right? And then what is Arizona State University? The Sun Devils.
The Sun Devils, right.
Okay, so now you have people going, I'm a devil. Okay, so you have to understand, we also have a show called Jesus Rocks. Okay, so the Jesus Rock show, which
Jesus does rock.
Yeah, he does. He really does. But Lucy DeGrazia is one of my best friends. She's also boots on the ground, precinct committeeman, state committeeman. So we are grassroots here, the real grassroots, not the fake grassroots like Carrie Lake and a lot of these other people here. And anybody, like, for the most part, if you are in a leadership role here in Arizona, okay, and this is all, and this is not the first time I'm saying this. I've been saying this for like 19 months, 20 months, right? If you're in a leadership role, you're a politician, you're a candidate, you have a group, almost every single one of them that claim to be MAGA, claim to be America First, claim to be grassroots are not, okay? They're not. Because they would have done the work that Leo and I did.
Finding those documents, just putting them out.
It's not even finding.
Just
okay, Matt, the thing is...
Yeah, taking them.
They're public documents.
Right.
Okay? These are public documents. These are your official election returns and records that are available to the entire public of the United States of America. Anybody on the planet could have requested these. And all of this came from one public record request. Okay, one. I asked for the tally receipts and the precinct ballot reports. Took them 6 days to get me the precinct ballot reports. 6 days.
It's quick.
Yeah. And it's all the cost to acquire all of these documents. What am I holding up?
$0.
$0. Okay. So the cost to acquire was $0. Now, anything else that we looked at and needed, we got from Google searches.
So we've become so complacent as a society that we don't even think to even look at these documents, to even request
No,
them.
what we've done is we've been so indoctrinated and brainwashed by our fake leaders.
Right.
And we lied on them because they said they were going to do it, or, oh, no, we couldn't, or those corrupt courts. Like, you have to understand the narrative, okay? The narrative in all of this is strong, okay? So you have, as I said in the beginning, election integrity. Once I understood that, because you've heard this for 3 years now, election integrity. And I said, this doesn't make any sense. There's all these people in this election integrity. You've got the GOP saying it like it's going out of style. We have elections. They keep getting worse. These people are all over the country, kind of making a lot of money. What is going on with this election integrity? Because on my show, I didn't focus on that because I've said there's so many other people in it, and I've had them on my show, or I'm friends with some of those people, right? This is for years. It's when it started in 2020, right after the election. And so I would tell people on my show, if you want to know anything about the elections, then go to these shows because they're the experts, good to go, right? So I'm not going to repeat, because I'm not a parrot. I don't repeat what other people say. Like some people have shows, they just pull up the internet and they start talking. No. My shows are not like that. There's take action items. I might tell you the worst thing on the planet because you need to know the truth, But I'm also going to give you the actual solution and the take action items. As long as you put a little sweat equity in it, sometimes it's only 2 minutes, you'll be able to solve the problem.
Right.
So not only, but I'm going to tell you everything, but I'm also going to give you the solution. It's up to you whether you want to go ahead and do the solution, right? Or you could still run around like everybody for the past 3 years in circles and everything continues to get worse, right? So back to the indoctrination part. So when I got to the point, I'm like, what is the problem? Like, why are, because after, what really pissed me off was after our primary. So I decided in the spring-ish of 2022, I said, I have the show. A lot of my friends are running for office here in Mari-corrption County or in the state, Anarchy, Arizona. And I said, I really should get in more locally. I'm a precinct committeeman, and I don't think I wasn't a state committeeman at the time. And I'm there on the ground. I really should actually have them come on the show, really get more engaged locally. Because I really wasn't at the level, well, now it's completely out of control in a good way, right? That's a good way for everybody. So I said, I should really engage more because these are my friends that are running, right?
Yeah.
And then the primaries came and went. And none of them won the results. And a couple of them, there's no way that they didn't win the real results. Right. Because of the ground support and where they went and then the signage. I'm like, this is bad. So I stepped in only because nothing was happening in a positive way, but yet all this stuff has been going on for years. Sure. Right? So then I started paying attention. And then we launched the Ban the Machines campaign, which was a one-click email campaign that we did with Act From America. And in 2.5 months of just talking about it on my shows and going on some other people's shows, we had 2.8 million people click on this to then do mass email amounts to the legislators here. Yes, they are turds, administrate turds, legislate turds. The 90 that are in office, there's 215 total that make these decisions that destroy your freedoms. And we had all that many amount of people around the country click on that to tell them, hey, you need to ban the machines, and here are the reasons why. And of course, nobody did anything with it. Nobody took us up on it. And then the Board of Supervisors, there's 5 of them, 5 demons. These people are demons, okay? They run the elections. They have the ability, they may or may not use machines, right? So there's people that they don't have to change legislation. They actually have that ability, right? So, but we didn't know this until we started who makes the decisions? Like, what's going on? Meanwhile, this is September of 2022. Right. And I'm asking these questions and nobody had the answers. I'm like, okay, well, what the hell is really going on in this election integrity movement if nobody has any of these effing answers? Right. This is the basics. Like, if you want to get rid of the machines and the elections have issues, well, what are you guys doing? Where's all this money? What is being spent?
That's part of the scam, is making it very convoluted and very hard to get answers.
Well, exactly. And then but answers from our own people.
From our own people, right.
Okay, because I'm like,
unbelievable.
Well, I shouldn't have to ask these questions. Right. Why is it difficult to find this information? Why, if I've got all these grassroots groups in Arizona, but they're involved with the elections, right? Nobody had an answer. I'm like, well, then what do you guys do? What are you doing? So then, and I'm kind of giving the background because then, because you'll understand why I'm so pissed. Why I got so pissed off.
Oh, sure.
Right. So we did that, and we're out trying to get people to put pressure on the legislators, the administrators. And that's the election directors. There's 15 of them. There's 15. Well, there's actually 16 because there's 2 in Mari-corrption County. But these are the people that are making decisions, like the Board of Supervisors and all the 15 different counties in Arizona. So there's 215 total of these people that make the decisions to literally destroy your freedom, steal your freedoms, and use the R word that rhymes with cape to steal. That's your freedoms. Okay, that's what they do. They do to us, right? But we let them. That's the problem, because like you said, well, is it because we didn't know? No, we've relied on all these people. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody and accusing anybody. I'm saying, everybody that's watching the show, look at the people that have been involved in your elections that are on our side and make a decision for yourself.
Not to give Midas a plug here, but I will. I kind of look at the banking system in a similar light, kind of the way you're looking at these. Like, we all rely on these banks. Oh, they have my money, right? It's in my checking account. If the banks go down, well, then everybody loses their money, and no one bats an eye. These banks have tremendous problems. But go ahead.
But yeah, it's along the same pages. So you had, and this, I'll use this example, and then I'll jump back in. I'm jumping around, but they're smart. They'll figure it out. So let's do this for the past 3 years, 20, the little edge of 2020, and then 21, 22, 23. So for 3 years, there's been this election integrity movement. Again, that's the big lie. There's no such thing as election integrity because you cannot have integrity in a system that is fundamentally designed based on fraud, corruption, and to control the outcomes. The whole system is designed that way. So like when people say, well, they're going to cheat again. I said, no, they're not going to cheat again. That is the system.
Right.
See, what we keep thinking, the Democrats are going to steal it. No. First of all, it's not the Democrats, it's the Uniparty.
Right.
The Republicans and the Democrats are the same.
Same thing.
So one bird, two wings, same body, you name it. But they disguise themselves as America first or grassroots.
Right.
Because the system works for them.
Right.
Okay?
It's baked in.
They're a part of it. So either if you're a politician and you're in the system works for you because you're in it. Now, and this is not just politicians. So if you're a candidate and you're trying to get in, you've been spoken to and now you are going to be the chosen one, or they haven't spoken to you or you are not the chosen one maybe this time, or you're better off being on the other role playing. So if you don't get elected, you don't care because there's more money in running than there is winning. So you are there for the microphone and the money. Because if you were me trying to run, they would never allow me to go near winning an office. I could get every vote in the whole state. I would not win the results.
Right.
So some people ask me, why don't you run? I said, I can't. I will never win. And I know that. So I'm not going to run and have a campaign and ask you to donate money to my campaign,
when you know
which to me is embezzling money from people, which is what the candidates do all the time. So it's like Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake didn't win the results of the governorship. She won the vote. She is the governor. She's not fighting to be governor because now she wants to be senator. Okay? So the fact that
that seemed really strange to me. It's like, why wouldn't you keep pressing the governorship? Like, why would you just all of a sudden go to the Senate?
Because the Senate's bigger and better deal.
Right.
Because when you want to just keep running, and you're running, where are you running? So you think
she's a fraud?
I've said that very vocally long time.
Interesting.
We said that. We went to go see, in the beginning of her election lifespan or life cycle, we went to a house party. It was either May or June of 2021. Okay, this is in the very beginning. And we went to go to this party because you're like meet and greets, these meet and greets. You go to a house on Camelback, somebody who's, got money.
Well-to-do,
right? Yeah. I mean, the house was nice, but it's not nice as some of the houses that I've seen since then. Some of these people in Arizona, I mean, you're talking loaded.
They do it right.
Like they bought gold when they needed to buy gold, and they need to buy more gold. Okay, more power to you. I said, hey, you know what? You guys you planned ahead. You were smart. You didn't investigate the elections. You have real money. I'm poor. Whatever. We get it, right? We all have our purpose in life. But anyway, we went to this house party, and I didn't want to go. And my friend goes, no, well, it sounds like she's getting traction, so we need to hear what she has to say. And I said, well, there's not what she's done nothing and she's doing nothing now. So I said, all right, I'll go. And it was just like, this is bad. This is bad. So everything she was saying in the very beginning was, I agree with Trump. Everything, Trump's right, whatever Trump says. And we're like, no, but what about you? Like, what is your deal? Right. Now, my friend Patty Porter, who was there with me, she's big into the grassroots. She was the first person to call out all these illegals being in the hotels because they found them down in Ahwatukee, and nobody knew this was happening. This was the very beginning of all the illegals in the hotel scams where they bring them in, then they'd clean them up, give them a bunch of money, game console so they can communicate through the internet, right?
We know
no one's talking about that in a long time. And then they would spin them around, because I always do this because it's like the spinning around in 72 hours, they ship them all over the country. Well, they started doing that here. There was 4 hotels they were doing it. And nobody knew about it. So her and her posse down in Ahwatukee found, because they were like, what's going on at that hotel? Well, then it became more people knew about it. And then, of course, they were dumb enough to put the one in Scottsdale not in my backyard kind of thing.
Right,
so a bunch of Scottsdale pearl clutching,
Yeah.
pearl clutching, angry rhino establishment women are like, not across from Katie Ranch. How dare you?
How
Put
dare
these
you?
illegals next to
How
my
dare you?
$1 million home.
It's funny.
So
it's funny when it hits their backyard.
So all of a sudden, it makes the gateway pundit because
They cover
because
gateway covers a lot.
somebody with $1 million house got pissed off, but nobody gave a shit about what's going down in Ahwatukee.
Exactly.
But anyway, so then Patty asked her some questions about the border because Patty's dealing with the border. She's met with the sheriffs. The sheriffs told her. Sheriff Lamb was one of them. Sheriff Daniels down in Cochise. Both of them said, "Hey, not our problem. Nothing we can do. This is a federal issue. Our attorneys told us we can't do anything about it. Nothing I can do." No, there's something called the 10th Amendment. So again, we don't have constitutional sheriffs, right? All of our sheriffs are unconstitutional. So these are the people now that what happened is, like Sheriff Lamb, everybody puts him on a pedestal, right? So what we end up doing is we worship at the altar of the politician and the candidate when none of these people are on our sides.
Right.
And we give them our money.
Right.
Right? So, so the Carrie Lake thing back at the house, and then I had talked to her afterwards, and she had just finished doing a show with Steve Bannon. And it was the audit was going on. And his audience is, red meat kind of thing. You throw red meat like, if you're going to say, was there fraud in 2020? You say, oh, hell yeah, because there was. Okay. And I've proven it with one document that the election could have been set aside with one document. Don't need magical machines.
Yeah, because my understanding is that even if one vote is deemed fraudulent, that can negate an entire election.
Well, it depends on deemed is. It depends on what you mean by deemed, and it depends on what they consider as being fraud, because there's true definitions of fraud and not. But when you violate non-technical statutes, which is what they did that we've shown for 2022, elections are set aside for that, and you don't have to show fraud. There are certain statutes and violations that you don't have to show fraud. But when you violate the statute, it doesn't matter if there was fraud or not. You didn't follow the process and procedures.
Right.
And because these non-technical statutes are fraud prevention measures, then elections are set aside. Right? And they didn't do that because nobody put this into court. Right. So we'll put a pin in where it was. Let's jump over and talk about what matters most about all this stuff. And again, it is, and you brought this up. We've been indoctrinated and brainwashed and bamboozled and lied to by all of these people that are claiming to be on our side. And none of them are. Okay? None of them are. And we elevate them again. We put them at the worshiping. We worship at their altar and their pedestal and their feet, and we hand them money. And it all comes back down to, it's pretty simple. In the Arizona Constitution, Article 2, Section 2, it says all political power is inherent in the people. And until we actually accept that and realize that that's the law, right? Because it goes God, people, laws, government, corporations. That's the order. And for all these years, all of these people, the politicians, the candidate, everybody in the system, they turn that upside down because they want them to be first and then us to be below them.
Right.
And that's not how it works. We pay their salaries.
Right.
Okay? But yet we have to address them as senator and congressman or house member. F you, no. Right?
How about scumbag?
POS or SOB. Like Wendy Dodgers, right? Wendy Rogers. But I call her Wendy Dodgers. She dodges the truth. She dodges questions. But she sure don't dodge your money. Okay? So she actually, even recently, said to somebody, well, you need to address me as senator. I've earned it. So who do you think you are? Okay. But we enable that. Okay. Giving money or praise or support or acknowledgement to a candidate or a politician is like giving a bottle of booze to an alcoholic. Right. All you're doing is enabling a disastrous situation, except at this point, we're only hurting ourselves. Right? So it's like, why do we continue to do that? They work for us. They're supposed to be our elected representatives, our public servants. Okay.
But like, I feel like nothing will ever change because you have to educate the public, right? And then the public then has to be so educated and almost inspired by that, then they have to take action. It's like, how do you do that?
Well, you would think that after witnessing 2020, okay, because you had a coup on November 4th of 2020. Okay, your country was stolen from you then.
Yes.
You don't have a country right now. Okay, so when people say we got to save America, there's nothing to save. You could take it back. You could restore it to what the original republic was supposed to be, the Constitution, the laws, but you can't save it. I don't want to save what they've got. I don't want to save what they've created.
Yeah.
We have everything that we do.
It's a bankrupt corporation.
The 1871 and all that, 100% spot on. But that's too much for people, right? So it's like when we say, I don't want to go too far down what people that are a little bit more advanced know, because I got to get everybody just to focus on, that's why I want you to just focus on the simple things about 2022.
Right.
So if you want to go ahead and say, well, for all these conferences I've been to and all this information about and I'm going to take it back to the machines and the magic satellites and whether or not we have to find out if the machines are online or whatever. I said, let me time it out for you real quick. Arizona statute, ARS 16-564, a very simple statute. And this is the first time that I had ever heard about it was this summer when we were reading the law. Okay, when we were starting to do the actual real research, when I started going down to MTech to take pictures of the tally receipts, which come out of the machines that tells you the information about the votes, right, and the machines. So 16-564 states that all ballots must be counted at the voting centers before they leave the building. And I mentioned, when you mentioned fraud, and I was talking about different statutes, that is a non-technical statute. There's no wiggle room.
Right.
Okay?
And that didn't happen. They sent them out.
That did not happen at 223 voting centers, which means that if somebody would have brought that into court,
it's automatically
the whole election would have been set aside.
Simple as that.
Okay. So the reason why I use that and that's just one of many. The other one is 16-602, which I was supposed to be involved in because it said election judge. We didn't learn this in training. We also didn't learn it, and it's not in our manual. So it wasn't part of the process, but it is a non-technical statute, which means that the judge needs to create a poll list based on the amount of people that checked in, so you know how many people checked in to vote. So then you can have how many people checked in to vote, and then you have how many votes there were actually in the ballot boxes. Okay? Because if you don't have those, you got nothing to base it on.
And that's a simple metric.
This is not even like when they're, audit. No. Fancy word for addition and subtraction.
Right.
A kindergartner.
Right.
I have 3 marbles in this hand. I got 4 marbles in this hand. Hey, little Jimmy, how many marbles? 7. They did much more, better counting, than the county.
Right.
Okay? So the fact that the county didn't do this, it wasn't part of our process and procedures. It's not on the precinct ballot report, which is the form that we fill out with key data points at the end of the night. The APM, the Election Procedures Manual, has 8 different data points that are required by the Elections Procedures Manual, which is based off of the Arizona Revised Statutes. So it has the Arizona Revised Statutes, which is the law, then the Election Procedures Manual created by the Secretary of State, then each county has the manual, and then the manual is what the poll workers follow. Okay? So the Election Procedures Manual for the state of Arizona has 8 key data points that are supposed to be gathered at the the voting centers to be used at the end of the evening to cross-reference to see what is here, was here. How many people checked in? Because you need to know that. This is not none of this stuff that I'm talking about right now has anything to do with elections. It's how many people, you have a business. You're at a Dairy Queen. How many people walked in today?
Right.
How many people actually paid for the food?
Right.
Why is there 3 free cones given out?
Right.
Okay, this
right.
is not, it's
Simple.
not election.
Yeah.
Okay, this is marbles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Taking inventory.
Yeah, this is simple stuff. So if there's 8 data points in the Election Procedures Manual, but in the precinct ballot report that we have, there's only 2 data points. You have 6 key ones missing just from what we need to do in Mari-corrption County. Okay? So going back to the statute, Those two statutes, even just pick one. The fact that the ballots did not get counted. 541,749 ballots were not counted on election day. That includes, it's 24,000.
In 2020.
2022.
2022, okay.
2020, I don't know how many there were because we didn't, well, let's put it away. It's not that I didn't know how many there were. In 2020, we didn't investigate 2020 because all of the documentation that we are using, which are public, anybody in the country could have gotten them. And Kari Lake's campaign had them before their trials because they had mentioned the precinct ballot report and they said they're all 223 were fine. There's so much fraud on them that you could have actually had the election set aside based on one of the documents saying told not to count, which is intent right there. It's a crime to prohibit a poll worker from doing their job, which is ARS 16-1004. That's a class 5 felony on that one document. But Kari Lake's investigative team was on the stand, Heather Honey, and said she saw all 223 of them. They looked fine. Wait, what? Like, are you kidding me? So Kari Lake's team had this documentation that we had. Anybody in the country could have done it. Abe Hamadeh's team had it. Shelby Bush and her team of We the People Alliance Arizona, they all had this information. Okay? Anybody in the country could have gotten this information.
I see what you're saying now. So they want us to argue over election integrity, and that just keeps us occupied from what's really going on.
The very fundamentals, yes, the very fundamentals of the election, they didn't count the ballots, okay? You don't know how many ballots are leaving the building. You have no idea how many ballots are showing up at the next location. This is simple. Okay? But the fact that that was violated, no one's mentioned it until we brought it up last summer. Okay? I started talking about it at my shows, knowing that we were going to be giving you guys all of the information of what happened on November 8th of 2022 and go through all the 223 vote centers and give you the real truth of what happened. Not an opinion, not an analysis, not a report. We're using the county's own official election returns and records. So this is not me saying,
right?
Oh well, this analysis that we came up with the team,
right?
The summary of the whatever. No, it's a document. Like it's like the precinct ballot receipt. Okay, this is their document, and here's what it says. Like these numbers, right? I didn't make those up. So there's a big difference there, but my point is, and this is a win. I'll look at that, and then I'll explain it real quick, and then we can show that in the podcast the difference between the old version and the new version. But the new version is actually an admission of guilt by the county, but they made these changes. But let me finish this.
So is the new one not going to have the 8 different points?
No, the new one has additional points that are on there because since we've been bringing out all this information to show the law has been broken many right. times. The county actually on the new precinct ballot report, they added the things that are highlighted are all new things that they added for the 2024 presidential preference election, which is March 19th. They added that to cover their asses because of all the information we've been bringing forward about what they did not do and the laws that they did break.
Right.
So do you this is an admission of guilt, okay?
I was going to say, maybe that could be used as evidence later.
Look at this, man.
Sherlock Holmes.
He's Sherlock Holmes. He is a gold dealer, a smart man, an attorney, all rolled up into one. So this should be even more infuriating for people.
So that's good news.
It's good news. Oh, it's good news-ish, okay? So it's not clear on the new changes on here that they've added that they're not specifically saying make sure you count the ballots in the ballot bin, right? But they broke it down tabulator A, tabulator B, because they still don't want to say 16-564, we have to count all the ballots in the building. Like there's no early votes on here. Like late earlies are when people get an early vote and then they come into the center and they drop it off. Those have to be counted.
Right.
Okay. And we were told not to count those at the centers. Okay. So we were told not to do that. And that was at multiple centers with multiple testimonials, multiple people that I have spoken to. And the amount of provisional ballots that are in the envelopes, those have to be counted, not tabulated. This is a difference. We're not saying Lake got one, Hobb got one. No, physical piece of paper or envelope, right? And then the 248,070 votes that were actually cast through the tabulators, right? This is the vote, remember, because most of you had to do this multiple times, flipping it around, trying to get it to go through. And why that actually happened is not what anyone is telling you. So what they're telling you about all of the things that took place at the election as to why, 100% a lie. Every single thing that you've been told for 15 months has been a lie. A lie. And we've shown some of it. Yeah, we're proving it with their own documents.
Yeah, with their own documents. It's perfect.
Yeah.
That's actually the Trump move, because what Trump does is he takes his enemies out using the move that they were going to use against him.
Well, or you use their own words, right? That's my favorite. Right. So we use their own words. So and we're using their own official documents. So we have documents and information where the county contradicts the county. Okay, like in one of the vote centers. And this is one of many. We just use this as an example on the podcast that on multiple podcasts and the Twitter Spaces that we're doing and other shows that we're going on.
I want you to give those where people can find you.
Because how are we doing on time? What is
just because I just say because there's so much that we could talk about.
Oh no, we can go on for days.
We could go on for days.
You and I could could camp out here and do a sleepover. Like you have sleeping bags, we can do sleepover.
Exactly. What I want my viewers to do is I want them to follow you and get into your work where you give the deep dives and the big the big explanations, because I know you want to do a little bit of that today. I just think it would take forever.
Yeah, there's so much.
There's so much.
But what I want people to get out of this interview, yes, is I want them to follow, because we've shared 50 days of this. For almost every single day we've dropped new information on Twitter, which is documents from the county, right? So, and these are things, again, everybody either already people have in those positions. Like I said, Carrie Lake's team has them. Abe Hamadeh's team has them. Shelby Bush and her group, which did a lot of the investigation work, all these election integrity experts. What I want people to get their arms around, and you make the decision for yourself, why hasn't any of this information been brought in any of these court cases? Why is it for the first time you're hearing about what a precinct ballot report is, or a protective counter on a machine, or ARS 16-564, okay? Because even though I did work the elections as an election judge on November 8th of 2022, I didn't understand what some of these things were, what they really were, or what the meaning of them was until I got into it. And as we're doing the research and we're looking at the documents and I'm looking at the tapes, and now I'm understanding what that means, or the precinct ballot reports, or what wasn't done, or what was violated, or what laws were broken, or what things that we were supposed to do that we didn't know about that wasn't in the manuals. And training was never discussed. These things were never discussed, that we've got to count all the ballots.
Right.
We were told not to count the ballots for the earlies. We were told not to count and some centers were told not to count how many ballots were in the door number 3s, or the mysteries, or the black bags. What do you mean you're told not to count? Then it means you have no idea how many ballots are leaving the building, right? So that's what I'm saying. This is all calculated. This is a CIA style operation, right? Because it's all of these different layers, because there is intent. It's like, it's worse than a premeditated murder, because all of this that is done, and it's very calculated, nefariously brilliant, as I call it, at all different levels. And I'm not making these assumptions. You can see it when you actually look at the documents and you're understanding how the process is, or what should have been done and what shouldn't have been done,
right, by
just using your own eyes, right, or your own ears, right? So we're not making conclusions. We're just showing you the information and you're making your own. Like, people come up to me after I talked and they're like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I said, what's said? They go, this has never been brought up before. I said, I know. They said, so then all of these people are bad. I said, do your own math.
Do your own math.
Do your own math, guys. Because you have to understand why. Ask the question, why? If somebody, an attorney, because you have the candidates, when they file their election contest, they actually, and because they are candidates, they have like more leverage than me, just a regular person. I didn't know that I could file an election contest as a voter, as a human being. I didn't know that. I didn't know that till like 6 months ago. Otherwise, I would have just done it, right? We should have all done it. We didn't know. So we thought that the candidates, since the candidates got screwed, which technically we got screwed because that's not who we voted for, right? So we figured they would go ahead and file and then do what they need to do to win. right? Or do the investigation. Well, their investigations were beyond pathetic and subpar, because now that we have done the investigation, which anybody in the country could have done, again, all public documents, the cost to acquire was?
0.
Right. Lost 15 months and still doing the investigation now, 15 months of my time, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, but out of pocket, 0. So you have to ask yourself, why wasn't this information brought into court? Why wasn't this in multiple trials, multiple court cases? Sonny Borelli had cases. Mark Fincham had cases. Abe Hamaday has cases, still has an outstanding case where if he brought any of this information in, and we've already proven just by one tabulator at one vote centers that he actually did win. Not to mention the thousands of votes that are illegal, because you had elections on Monday and Wednesday, and you had Monday through Wednesday elections. Every single one of those votes is illegal. And he only lost by 280. We've made it up by thousands. But yet none of these people have brought this stuff into their court cases. And then Carrie Lake, she's got multiple court cases. So you have all of these candidates that have all these court cases, and none of this information, no one has ever mentioned the law that says you have to count all the ballots, 16-564.